What do you mean they're telepathic?
They can speak to each other in their thoughts, in their head.
No, I mean, I understand what telepathic
Right, sorry.
means, Ian.
Captain's Pod, stardate 302622.1. Welcome aboard the Starship Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always is the ambassador who just had a bit of a funny feeling about the Kobayashi Maru. It's Deneé Hughes.
Yes, I'm also submitting to have all of your captain's log star dates investigated. Because I'm pretty sure you don't know what you're doing.
No, I do. This one, that one,
Some sort
I
of
promise.
like, what's that called when they do, like the tax people come in and they
An
do
audit.
like an audit? Yeah, a full
gonna
stardate
audit my
audit.
stardate?
We're
Yeah.
going to audit your captain's log.
Audit my logs.
Yeah.
You're going to find some messed up shit in there, not just the stardate.
Well, we learned in the outtakes that Ian does not like to audit his own logs, but we can save that for the outtakes.
Man. And you'll miss him when he's gone. It's Commodore Tosa.
Yay! I like it. Yes, it's me.
Oh
I'm
my
here.
God.
How are you doing, punny people?
Doing good. I'm really excited for another episode of Strange New Worlds. I'm excited to see a world that is both new and strange today.
Indeed. And Deneé, you have news.
I do have news.
You do have news. What's your
My
news?
deodorant came in, and I'm so happy.
Nice. This just in. Federation News Network. Deneé gets odorless deodorant.
It is interesting to purchase your deodorant from the internet, where you can't just run to the store and grab it. You have to wait for the delivery to come.
You can't sniff
That
it.
is interesting.
Well, now that that's done, this week we will be covering off Season 3, Episode 5
Audit.
of Star Trek.
We are
Stop
auditing you.
auditing me. Stop it. Strange New Worlds, which is called Spock Amok. Now, we can actually do some predictions in this because Spock Amok clearly relates to Amok Time, which is an original series episode.
Clearly.
Oh, everybody knows that.
Yeah, everybody. Yes, got that.
Well, this is the one. This is the one which has the music with the ba 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 ba.
Oh, okay. All right.
And the ba 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 ba.
Yeah, this is the first episode of season 2, I think, of TOS, right?
I think you're right. I don't know off the top of my head, but if you did, that's impressive. Well done.
Well, thank you.
I just visually, it's like that moment when you're like looking around to the group around you to like get your cues about how you're supposed to react to the news.
You know that music though, don't you, Deneé? No? We've used it in a
Maybe
load
not.
of
I mean,
outtakes.
she's not like a huge fan of Cable Guy or anything. Like, I
guess
mean,
not.
you know. We use it in like outtakes every other
Pretty
video.
much.
Let me tell you guys something about Ian and Aaron. Ian and Aaron play this game called BeatStar, and they get these songs and they just start singing them all the time. And, or they'll watch something, or they'll watch a musical, and for the next like month, one of them will say one statement, and the other one will pick up and start singing. This is what's happening now. I have no idea what's going on, but what I do is just adapt. And so go ahead and do the do, and I'll do it, and you guys are gonna think I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Anyway,
there's Jim Carrey famously imitates this music in the movie Cable Guy when he is having like a what do you call it, medieval times? Like there's this
it's a
medieval times
Renaissance
battle,
thing. Yeah.
and like it's his best friend, and or he. It's okay. So Cable Guy, he's
adopted
trying to
best
make
friend.
it his best friend,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But Matthew Broderick's not all that sure. But then he says something like, Spock and Kirk, fighting each other, and
do battle until the death.
do the battle to the death. And then he imitates the song. So
Yes.
yeah, there you go.
But
Now you're
anyway-
all caught up.
I feel like our audience is at this point split entirely in half.
Yeah, half are going off to BTS.
One half is like super loving how many times you have sang this fucking song, and the other half is like,
Stop it.
quit.
Quit it. So in the original series episode, Spock goes a bit crazy. I think this is when Spock gets his ponfar, and he has to go back to Vulcan.
What's a ponfar?
So once every 7
Is
years.
it like a bonsai tree?
It's kind of like the menstrual cycle of the Vulcans. Like,
Yeah. They haven't.
How often is it?
Once every 7 years.
That's a lot of buildup.
Yes. Well, it is.
it is.
And Vulcans have to, or Vulcan males, I think it's just the men, have to mate every...
Thank God.
Yeah, have to mate every 7 years. And they get this overwhelming urge to go back to the homeland and do the business.
Hold on. They have to mate?
Yeah, they have to have sexy time. Yeah.
They have to.
They have to. And they get really violent, and it could kill them if they don't.
Somebody was so fucking horny writing that into their alien...
Welcome to Star Trek.
It's that classic like guy lie where it's like, oh, you have to, baby. Like I got blue balls.
It'll actually hurt. It's a medical condition.
Hurts. I
won't. A blowjob only takes 30 seconds. Just do it.
Yep.
Listen. Let me just make sure I got
blowjobs.
So Vulcan males don't need to be sexually relieved normally.
Nope.
They're fine. It could happen, but it's not a big deal.
Exactly.
Okay. But no matter whether they're having sex regularly or not, they have this 7-year cyclical surge of sexual energy that is so intense that it will kill themselves.
Yes.
If they don't have sex with another Vulcan female specifically, or is it just like anything goes?
It's not specified, but it has to be another Vulcan, I believe.
This needs to be specified, because then why isn't masturbation a thing?
Hormones. You're asking for logic from something that's inherently illogical.
It has to do with the Vulcan pinch and how it would impact themselves if they use their hand. Like it's a little
Can we talk about that too?
And
does the Vulcan pinch? Is it only on the neck face situation, or is it like?
Well, that's how you make somebody pass out. But if you do it on other parts of the body, it can like start processes that you're not ready. You don't want that. Yeah,
okay,
you don't want that.
So there's no hand manipulation for Vulcans.
Right.
But there's probably toys. But that doesn't count on the 7-year cyclical thing. They have to have sex with the opposite sex, not even like...
Well, that's never spelled out.
That's wise. I'm glad they didn't go that far. I'm saying that this is now what we need to spend the rest of the show talking about.
It looks like we will do.
Our audience is now split 50-50.
Yep.
Half of them want to know more about this, and half of them are like, let's fucking move on.
I know which half I'm with.
Sorry, go ahead.
Spock goes a bit crazy. They go back to Vulcan. And long story short, Kirk and him end up in a fight to the death. And
Kirk didn't know that there's like a wedding challenge, right? Like it's like it's like it's like the Ponfar and all that kind of stuff has like a challenge to the death. And is it T'Pring, right?
T'Pring is his betrothed.
Right, and she gets to choose the challenger.
So
is that right?
Correct. She falls in love with someone else despite being betrothed to Spock. And then this guy is going to challenge Spock to a fight to the death, but somehow Kirk ends up taking his place because she assumes that Spock won't fight Kirk, I think.
Right, yes.
But Spock is so horned up, he doesn't care. He just like...
And Kirk's like, I'll do it, but he doesn't know it's like a fight to the death.
Exactly, yeah. He's just like, it's fine, it's okay. But it all works out and everyone's fine, and T'Pring goes off into the sunset with the other dude. Yes, Deneé?
For those listening at home, Deneé indicated she had something to say by leaning right up to her microphone and then decided not to.
Yeah, she left.
It's just fine.
So I think we can predict that Spock will do something Ponfari in this episode, perhaps.
Ponfari. Whoa.
A Ponfari sounds like a really dangerous safari.
Yeah. It's where you do safari in the water. It's the Ponfari.
With that, we'll see you guys for a full debrief in 10 Forward after we've watched episode 5 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the Replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. I am grabbing some spearmint bubblegum from the Replicator. Deneé, what would you like?
Kindlement cake. And also,
Kindlement cake, yeah.
I got some Ian tea, as I call it.
Ah, it's special tea bags that I left you. Yay! I have introduced tea to the Americans and they love it.
So much.
Aaron, I will permit you to replicate something. I think it has been long enough.
Oh, wow. I will have a
Wait, I think he's going to say something about peanut butter.
Nope, you're on.
That's weird.
I'm going to have a Kling Chava.
A what?
A cling chava.
A cling chava. Right, got it. Good. This week we joined the crew for a little bit of shore leave as half the crew depart and do stuff with relationships and the other half stay on board and also do stuff with relationships. Deneé, what were your overall thoughts on the episode?
That's your summary?
That's my summary.
Did you not like this episode?
Deneé, what were your thoughts on the episode?
Exciting.
You can kind of tell by like how little you cared about the summary that you didn't like it. I'm a little...
Deneé.
Yes, Captain.
What were your thoughts overall of this week's episode?
I loved it, and I'm scared because I don't remember liking a show this many episodes in a row, and so I don't know what's happening right now.
Oh, that's amazing!
No.
This is like dangerously becoming like your favorite show of all time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, which also scares me. But I had so much fun this episode. I know that like every once in a while they do something like where the characters kind of split up and pair off and they do these different sorts of things. This one had, for me, a really fun balance of hitting kind of the serious notes of empathy for each other and also comedy. And I really had a good time.
That's amazing. How about you?
This may be my favorite episode so far.
Right? It's so fun.
Hey, nice. I had a feeling you'd love it. Yeah.
Okay, so my overall thoughts come down to this. Body swap episode, let's go.
That's so fun.
So there's this interesting thing that happens with a show like this where there could be a tendency to be like, yeah, body swap, seen it a million times. This is a trope, totally get it. But this is what's brilliant about doing episode by episode stuff is you can just go wacky for an episode, have some fun, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll see you next week. You know, like there's just this real beautiful thing that you can kind of do. And, you know, I did wonder if the show's serious side would hold up under kind of the goofiness or the hijinks, if you will, of
the Vulcan hijinks
of what was going on here. And I think it does. I think they found a really nice balance with this tone. So this for me, this is the fun stuff. This for me is like the beauty of, because like here's what I was thinking. So like on Picard, right? You've got these episodes where, forgive me for forgetting the names of the characters, but Seven goes off with, you know, such and such, and they're just
Raffi.
Like spinning their Seven and Raffi are spinning their wheels, waiting for their reintroduction to the actual overall plot. And that seems wasted and dumb and stupid because we're invested in what? The overall arcing story that goes from episode, and it's like, what are they? This doesn't mean anything. However, in something like this, if they were in Strange New Worlds doing that kind of stuff, then maybe you go, hey, that's fun. That's cool. Because we're not waiting for them to be like integrated into some
getting in the way of anything
thing. Yeah. So it's just a show like this gets to be wacky. It gets to be goofy. It gets to try something here or there. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
That's awesome. I'm really glad. So this episode was a miss for me. I didn't have a great time with it. But here's why I'm glad. I'm really, really happy. Like, because there are plenty of episodes of The Next Generation that I won't watch, and I don't watch because it's like, oh, it's one of those episodes, they do a relationship thing, or it's a bit sappy, soppy, or a bit cheesy, or something wackadoodle happens. That's fine. That's great because it has wide appeal for lots and lots and lots of people. I know myself, this isn't, I don't usually buy into these types of stories. And the body swap thing, I was on the groan side of, we've seen this before, we've done it before. But I'm so glad.
I've
for
never
exactly
seen
the reasons,
that before. You
for
quit.
the exact,
Every week you guys are like, oh, we've seen the Vulcan mind meld before, and there was nothing interesting, but there was a level 5 diagnostic. And this week you're like, never seen a body check.
Yes, Ambassador, I'm sorry. I am wrong. But no, you're completely right, Aaron. Like, the show can go for swings like this. It is not tied into one type of episode. You can have a disaster episode. You can have a... he immediately runs out of different types of episodes. Have a time travel episode. You can have a diplomacy episode. You can have a single stuff about relationships episode, and I love it. I don't have to love every single episode to still appreciate what they're doing, what they're going for, and what they're swinging for. I think the big thing I'd say is that some of the humor didn't hit for me. So like some of the jokes in the transporter room, like the fly fishing and the stuff with Una and Noonien Singh didn't really work for me. It wasn't. I see what they were going for, but I feel like that's a season 3 or 4
That was so
episode.
fun.
No,
Oh man, that
Enterprise
was so
Bingo
fun.
didn't work for me.
What?
That's
That was so
kind
cool.
of. It was a few steps ahead of where we know their relationship is. Like for us, from what we've seen, like they have a relationship because they've been together longer. But I don't feel that connection with them just yet to get that they're boring. Like I don't think Una is boring at all. And yet we're supposed to believe that the entire crew thinks she's boring.
I think they've been set up that way enough.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like it when a show does something where they're just like, we don't need to bring everybody up to speed about the history of this friendship. We're just going to jump into it. Because then I don't need a lot to qualify, I guess, that they were having fun. For me, it was just something that it was like, this is exciting. Because there are those people who get jazzed when the office closes and they can focus and get stuff done and they can reorganize the supply closet, and
totally agree.
I can relate to that.
Absolutely. I would love the empty ship.
And I think that the pairing of the two of them together, especially like in the interrogation scene, like that stuff was just there genuinely wasn't a scene that I didn't love in this show, like in this episode.
That's awesome.
I love every single thing of it.
I almost guessed that you might not like this because it was quite relationship heavy, and like there was a couple of tropey things that I could kind of almost hear Deneé kind of going, fuck you, like in the corner of my mind.
Oh yeah? Like what? Do you remember one?
Like when T'Pring is like, you should know that you should sacrifice your job for our relationship and it's not fair. And it might just be me, but I was like, yeah, okay, fine, relationships are give and take, but his job is very important and so is yours. Maybe you shouldn't sacrifice your job for Spock.
But doesn't the episode go there? I feel like the episode covers that. I don't feel like it's...
Oh, I don't know. Because
Ian,
I mean, she gets an appreciation for his job by being in it, but
Ian, your beard is as ridiculous as your proposals. Listen, this is
yes, it might be.
this is a good
Whoa.
episode.
It might well be.
That was low.
Man, just called me a Tellarite. Wow.
No, I can see how you would think that I would groan at something like that, but I didn't feel like it was doing the normal, like, we don't spend it seemed to me, because they're so logical, I think because the Vulcan are so logical, I was like, man, they barely get any time together and Spock can't be bothered to send a quick message that he's, to me, it did seem like he was taking kind of more advantage of a moment, understandably so, because he has an important job. But also, like, I can kind of relate to that. I actually found myself relating to her a lot. I really enjoyed meeting T'Pring's like that character. And I kind of wondered from your perspective too, Ian, knowing the future of their relationship and things like that, knowing now that they end up not staying together and things like this, it's for them to sprinkle in the questions about their foundation, their compatibility, but then also still show their love for each other. I think that was a really smart thing to do. They're just giving the initial flavors enough to the fans. Like, I know because of this conversation, for example, that the nurse
Chapel
and Spock have a future together. Is that right? Didn't you say that on the previous episode?
There's some like flirtations in the original series, yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of like developing their rapport with each other that might wink and nod to that.
I love the Spock
later.
Chapel stuff. Love it. Favorite bit of the episode by far. Love it.
Yeah. I continue to, and this is probably something that not everyone who watches this show will experience, because I feel like people are going to be, if they're really hardcore Star Trek fans, they probably know Spock's personality so well that this can be kind of like, yeah, I've kind of seen this stuff before. But for me, I'm really enjoying the Vulcan mentality, because I have not spent a lot of time digging into that. We didn't have a Vulcan on TNG that I saw all the time.
No, which was an interesting choice for TNG from the start. And it was one of like the fan backlash things was, you can't have an Enterprise without a Vulcan on the bridge. And I'm like, you guys have no fucking clue. Like, that's insane.
But this is a cool thing where I get to say, I'm glad it wasn't, because this show then is my chance to kind of meet this highly logical alien race, right? And to start the episode pairing that he has his own war inside of himself with his humanity versus the Vulcan side of him, there was just so much I learned about Spock and what makes him unique and the struggles that he has. So I think for that reason, the relationship stuff didn't seem tropey to me, because it wasn't like the show was leaning on that as a crutch. It was more like, this is kind of part of what it looks like when you have a relationship with someone that's really important to Starfleet. And then they, like, as Aaron, I think, was alluding to, I think they kind of try to address that by having them do a body swap to see things from each other's perspective. I didn't even know that was possible, so I was super down for that.
Yeah. Hey, ditto.
It was so cool.
Yeah,
that was so cool.
I don't think that's ever been established in canon.
That's not a new fan thing. Yeah. I mean, the capture moving bodies definitely happens, but it's not quite as easy as this, or easy to undo. That, watching Strange New Worlds in particular, my favorite thing is watching it with you specifically, Deneé, as somebody who's been like departed from Star Trek for so long and is probably so new to it, is how much you're enjoying it. And it validates my enjoyment of it as well. And I just think they're doing such a great job of, if it's getting you engaged, then
oh my God,
it's absolutely doing what it needs to be doing. And that's such a joy.
I just hope that, for me, I'm enjoying the characters that have already been explored to a certain degree. And I hope that the newer characters are interesting for a fan like you, who is like looking for something quote unquote new to kind of capture you and bring you in.
Mm-hmm.
Question: who is the dud of this cast? I love everybody on this cast. So, like, I am excited anytime Pike opens his mouth. Like, I'm just like, what is amazingness is he going to say right now?
God,
like,
I need more Pike. Right? They are using him so much like Picard. Like, you barely see Picard in the first season of TNG. He'll swoop in, do something awesome, and fuck off. And like Anson Mount is doing exactly the same thing. I love it so much.
So, knowing that we all love this cast and we all like mostly the chemistry, all those kind of the things of the kind of crew, the main crew that we've gotten to know, who do you have at the bottom of the list? Now, this could be somebody you still love, you still think they're great, but for whatever reason, they just don't quite elevate into, I just want to hear everything they have to say, and I think they're amazing.
At the minute, it's Kirk.
He wasn't even in this episode.
I'm kidding. You know what? For me, it is Noonien Singh at the minute.
Okay.
Because I think we've spent quite a bit of time with her and her trauma, and I'm getting lots of characters that I've seen before in Star Trek from her. I'm not seeing anything that's super duper new. Like, there's a bit of Tashigar in her. There's a bit of name or traumatic character. Like, there's a bit of that there. Just, I'm not quite as eager to spend time with her as I am with Ortegas or Uhura or probably anybody else. But it's marginal. Like, she's still fun. We need that straight-faced crew member.
We need the Worf.
Deneé?
Yeah. She's very Worf, yeah.
Probably the Doctor.
Me too. It's M'Benga for me.
Yeah, probably the Doctor. Yeah. And only, there's only so much time in an episode, and there's only so many different people that they're going to really allow us to dig in on. And I don't know that the Doctor is usually that lead person. We know enough
quite often
about
sidelined.
Yeah. We know enough about him that is interesting, and I think that they've done what they're going to do. I don't know that he's going to take a front and center. He might, who knows? But he definitely is more of a support role, and so I guess I'm not surprised that that's my answer.
Yeah, I'm excited for an M'Benga episode to get to know him a little bit better and maybe find some connecting points. I assume we'll get back to his creepy keeping his daughter in the buffer plot line at some point. Yes. But yeah, I think at the bottom of the list is him. But I am enjoying like so much of this cast is so much fun, and we didn't get any Himmer. Right, in this episode? Did I miss it?
No, didn't appear at all.
Not a single bit of Himmer.
Still my MVP of the episode.
Oh, no.
I know he's there. He's there somewhere. He's rebuilding the ship. He's the only one at Space Dock that is fixing the damn ship.
That's right. That's probably true. Yeah.
I think I like when when a moment can make me laugh. Last episode had that seriousness with the battle and things falling apart and people dying, and it was really intense. So to kind of follow that up with the other side of the coin, which is a much needed rest for the crew, which is a wink and nod to a much needed rest for the audience as well. It's
100%.
Smart.
It's a classic TNG thing to do.
Yeah, and it was just a clever it's a clever setting where you can do different setups and scenery, yet they were still working because there's the negotiations with this alien race for some kind of an alliance for a travel route. Am I getting that right? Like they wanted...
No, it's more fundamental than that. It's joining the Federation.
Joining the Feds,
so that is becoming part of the European Union.
But it was with an understanding that they didn't have a way to get through territory because of Klingon and Romulan, right? And so they were looking for them as an option.
Yeah, they're kind of just integral. Like if they made an alliance with the Klingons or Romulans, it would give the Klingons and Romulans more mobility towards Federation space. Right. And the same works vice versa.
So that was interesting too, just kind of understanding the conversations about joining the Federation.
Beautiful way to just introduce the politics of the Federation right now. What's going on with the Romulans, what's going on with the Klingons, without dedicating an episode to it. For me, it was plenty. It was like, cool, you've acknowledged them. We're not just retconning everything. I'm happy, move on. We don't need to see them for another 2 seasons.
And can't you just imagine a situation where the writers are like, you know what, we're going to spend an entire episode on these negotiations. But the writers of this show understand that that's not a place to get lost. And they paired the quote unquote boring negotiations with humor and also a serious kind of relationship episode as well, where it wasn't just Spock dealing with emotional relationship stuff. It was white-haired lady. God,
Chapel.
I don't want to give him names.
Deneé, I'm going to the chapel and I'm going to get married. All right? Like, this is not difficult.
Well, you can marry her. Okay, who would you marry from this episode?
Wait, are we playing Marry F Kill? Is that what's going on now?
No, just the Mary. Just the Mary.
Marry F body swap?
Yeah, who would you marry in this episode? Yeah, so I don't know. I like that they seem to understand the pacing of this new way of going into deep things, but also keeping it light at the same time. I don't know. I really love the show.
No, I do think the balance was good. It's just, I'm infamous for just not enjoying the tropey relationship stuff.
But there was so much more to this episode.
Aaron, tell me all the things that you loved.
Okay, I can tell you things I loved. I also have some questions for you. So whenever you want questions, just let me know. But I will start with some of the other things that I loved. First of all, Chapel's hip purse. Hello. So cool. I loved that. It was like the coolest fanny pack I've ever seen.
Yes.
Okay,
it was amazing.
Can I hop in and just say that outfit-wise, also Pike's green wraparound was so fucking rad.
I have something to say.
Yes.
I got something to say. So, Deneé, I'm going to Google this right now. Actually, no, Deneé, while I'm talking, you Google it. Kirk, if you Google Kirk green wraparound uniform, this is a direct homage to one of Kirk's uniforms.
Oh, that's so cool.
How fucking cool is that?
Listen, it's
so great.
What a smart thing to do. This is in that era.
Perfect.
This is in that time when Starfleet would have been wearing something like this. And I loved it. I thought it looked so good.
Yeah.
Like when Kirk turns up in it in one episode, I was just like, oh, damn, that's incredible.
According to this quick little picture, he was wearing this during the Tribble episode.
Oh, the Trouble with Tribbles. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so when I saw like Anson's green shoulder, I was like, no, they're fucking not. No, they're not. They're absolutely not. And then we get like the full picture wrap around. I was like, oh, it's the same damn uniform. Yes.
It's so cool.
I need to buy it. It's so great. Those little nods are just so tastefully done. They're so
nice.
Perfect.
I love the outfitting in all of these shows, like in Picard, but this one as well. Aaron, another one, just since we're talking about specifically those, the opening sequence where it's Spock's stream, the woman.
Oh my goodness, the see-through thing.
Yeah.
And all of that like really ornate like wedding garb and all of that really ritualistic like Vulcan.
So good.
The peek into that culture was so cool for me.
I knew straight away that we were on Vulcan. Like they've set that up so well to locate where you are.
I'm so mad at myself because I knew for a fact as soon as you mentioned the title of this episode that they were going to do some sort of take on the battle, right?
Yes.
Like they had to.
They had to.
And I should have thought about like human Spock, like his two sides battling against. I should have thought about that. But
well, yeah, especially because so far they tell us the title and we're like, oh, that's this episode. And we're wrong almost every time, which is
wrong.
so great.
We were wrong this time.
But
they used the music.
Love it.
They used the music.
Yes.
It was so
Oh my God.
So great. Deneé watched me. I was like, just like dancing backwards and forwards. So good. They didn't update it too much. It was
Oh my God, you guys.
so good. Love it. Sorry, Aaron, you had more stuff.
I have plenty of things. I loved the way Spock fixed his hair after Chapel slapped him.
Yes. I've always wondered that because I was like, Vulcans are so particular.
It was.
Do they fix it?
So
And he's just like, yes, I will.
Oh, it was so perfect. I for one really loved Jackass Enterprise. I thought that, the little tasing each other and tasting the gun from the
that was
teleporters. The elevator race is hilarious. Like, that's
Because you would do that.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, well, I if I was going to sin this episode, I would stop and pause and start reading more of what was on the screen, which I didn't do.
I took a picture
bingo.
of it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and they did it like it was all things that were on the list. I didn't get the transporter bubblegum, but
I guess it's because, can we talk about that? Like, is it that you...
I think it's just a weird, effect of the transporter somehow, is that for whatever reason...
So transporters use the same technology as replicators. So replicators are beaming matter into existence. And I think it's a side effect of that. Yeah, like you said, that it's basically...
it loses its flavor, but then when you're beamed, it has its flavor again.
Yeah, because it only knows how to reconstitute the atoms at their original or something. I don't know.
Exactly, which just goes to prove that the transporters are murder machines. Like, that isn't even the same, sing that comes back. That is an original sing.
Fucking fun. Because that's so many layers of the show knowing its own world well enough to know that, like, if you lived in this world, that you would be fascinated by certain things that we would never think of. One of 100%. Them being this, like, that's so fun. And I love the idea of the bingo, which, let's just say real quickly, though, that on the previously on section, they show Ortega's talking to Uhura, where it's like, I'm being hazed. Uhura's like, I'm being hazed, and Ortega's is like, it's Enterprise bingo, as if we'd ever seen that before. And I
don't remember that scene.
I don't remember that scene either. Aaron,
it was in there. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Okay,
that's
totally
really weird because I was like, I have never seen this scene before.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Enterprise bingo. I feel like I would have
could
heard
be wrong.
that.
I think it was the pilot. I think it was in the pilot. Okay. But I could be wrong.
Sounds right.
I remember Uhura saying Uhura, whatever her name is. God, I named
Uhura.
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 Anyway, that girl, I knew she was getting hazed, but I don't remember the bingo thing.
Call her Neota.
If you don't remember her name, you could just go, her.
Hua?
No, her. You can literally, Deneé, literally just say, her.
Her? Okay.
Yes, okay, you got it. There you go.
Yeah, okay, so... Aaron is horny for Chapel. That's how I'm gonna remember that one.
I mean, she's not the only one, but yes, Chapel.
Deneé, don't limit me in my sexual attraction towards these characters.
It's wild to me that you didn't like the bingo section because that was so fun. When they go up before they start their bingo stuff and they go up and they try to call shotgun, but instead they call bad cop. That just slayed me. Like that they were having a battle to who could be the bad cop. I just thought that was really, really funny.
Yeah, that bingo between the two of them was delightful.
I did like the stun, like the little whimper that number one has. Like,
ow. It kind of stings. And then I did have to mention radical empathy. Just the overall theme of that with the negotiations is just this show continues to have great messages and great themes, and I really enjoy that. So yeah.
It's something that if we were much, much better at restating when you're in any kind of debate or argument or discussion. If we all did a better job of restating what the other person is saying and truly trying to understand their point before trying to make our point, all debates would go a lot better because then you're not just speaking into a void waiting for your turn to talk.
And I love the idea of not just empathy where it's like, so I think what you're saying is, but radical empathy where it's like, this is how it is, and then stating it from their perspective, like almost like fighting for their perspective, even though it's not your own. Like that
without
kind of
expectation, right? Because that was what made that scene for me really powerful. Is it seemed like Pike was like, "Listen, I get why you wouldn't want to do this. Here's the reasons why you might not want to do this, and I can appreciate your opinion." no expectation of them coming back saying anything. I mean, he obviously feels like he knows that he's kind of figured out the key to the species, but it was still a really powerful scene to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm so glad it didn't go the tropey route of, they just mimic people, because that's where I immediately thought it was going. But man, they are so aware of the tropes that have come before and trying to add an extra layer of, no, it was more complicated. Aaron, you said you had some questions.
I do. I just have a couple. I always have questions for the expert. And so, Deneé, I want to know.
I'll go find one.
Here I am. I'm ready.
Let's do it.
So first of all, and this will be a continuing question. I always ask this when there's an alien. Are the Thundercat Na'vi, like they are known alien species on Star Trek, or is this a new alien species?
It's a new alien. Yeah, It's not one that I'm aware of at all.
Okay, all right.
The solar sail thing was very cool. That's been used before.
So pretty. It has been used before?
So freaking cool. Oh, multiple times. Yeah.
So pretty.
They build one on Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Insurrection. There's a species that uses solar sails to collect stuff.
But what a cool idea that they bring out that ship for special negotiations, essentially.
Yes. The science is solid.
Beautiful.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other question I had is there was an insult from the 3D chess playing Vulcan about humans evolving from apes. Do other aliens have scientific discoveries about how they evolved? Like, how could humans evolve from apes and Vulcans not evolve from some sort of ape-like creature if they have the same not interior. We've talked about interior, exterior, but at least exteriorly have the same kind of features. So
it might be something that they don't call an ape, but then to use that as an insult, they must have apes.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just see them as demeaning. Like, what's more advanced than an ape that we could have evolved from and still look like this? So I wasn't too sure.
Okay.
Other than
all right.
I mean,
so that might be ReSINstance.
You're not always Vulcans.
Yeah.
I just felt
it's a little bit ReSINstance.
I felt like he had some kind of a knowledge of human history and knew that would have been considered an insult, whether he believed that it was an evolution or not. He knew that was an insult.
He knew we're just damn dirty apes,
right?
Or that's something that we would say to each other to get a rile.
What else did I love? So, love the music at the beginning. That was a great nod. Even the weapons were exactly the same. It's amazing how little they messed with.
Yeah.
They're just like, what would be really cool if we can redo that
just
scene
do it.
kind
Let's
of shot for shot.
Yep.
Yeah, but Spock and Spock instead of Spock and Kirk.
And cool to see human Spock, right? That's fun.
Oh, I love
so
that.
Fun.
I have that written as one of my first notes of that I really enjoyed too, is just what a cool thing to be able to see. A clever way to show the human side of this character is just to take the makeup off, essentially.
Take him off the actor. Yeah.
See the regular eyebrows instead of the lifted eyebrows.
Yes.
That kind of threw me for a second. I was like, oh wait, that's his face. Whoa, okay.
I was like, wait, why does this look so different? What else is there? That's strange.
And that scene also is clever in that it's actually a dream that's a premonition as well.
Oh man, yeah. No, very true. Because he does have that fight 10 years later.
He does.
Nicely done. I love that the episode opened with word for word what we said we hoped the episode would open with. It's after the battle with the Gorn, we're at a starbase undergoing repair.
Yes. We literally if they don't do this, we will riot.
And it's cool that we called it because it does show that they're looking for an extra level of consistency. They want the best of both worlds, like this episodic stuff without the one episode memory as well, because there's always a bit of how invested can I get when everything we learn this episode is probably going to be forgotten next week. So it's really getting a balance of any final wrap-up thoughts?
Oh my gosh,
today?
I have several. Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're not wrapping up. Just keep going.
No, I mean, we haven't even come to me yet. It's been Aaron telling his faves and me interrupting him the whole time.
Deneé, tell me everything you love about this episode. Aaron, get ready to interrupt.
Yeah,
I will try. I will try.
I guess this podcast is conversational after all.
Totally.
I guess okay. I want to start by saying that because you guys had ruined this music for me.
As soon as it came on, you're like, oh, fucking hell.
All I could hear was the two of you making trumpet noises. Because it actually was partway through the battle where I realized what was happening. I was like, oh.
There's a slow build to it.
This is the music. So that was actually kind of something that I was laughing at. And of course, Aaron, like you said, I looked over and he's literally dancing to the music in his seat. It was amazing.
Well, you couldn't see me, but I was doing the same. So, yeah.
It's so great.
I did talk kind of generally about enjoying the Vulcan culture, but specifically there's some stuff about the Vulcan, like there's several scenes. I'm going to skip around on them, I know, but like the Vulcan, the when she first enters his quarters, there's a fun dance an interesting dance between her sort of being like the level of directness to us might be considered rude in a way, but it's almost like they're really relying on the history and the actors knowing that some of it's almost in jest as well. Like when she sort of insults the decor of
his apartment,
and she says, "Okay, well then I reserve judgment until you've done it." And then it was just that was really clever, but also the ritual part of the way that they speak to each other. That there's that these
opening greeting to each other.
The parted but never parted. We meet at the appointed time and place. Like that was just this super intense example of how they're so intentional. And that level of specificity coupled with this soul thing that they do and how like it's just this instant thing that happens was just rad. I really, really loved that.
And it's so in keeping with what it's developing the Vulcan culture while still keeping in tune with what we already know it to be about. Like we know that Vulcans are passionate and we're seeing more of this behind closed doors now.
There's something I do when
so much more believable.
Yeah. When I watch couples on shows or movie, I usually always just instinctively go, would I do that? Like, how am I compared to that? I just, it's like a natural thing that I do because I'm very chameleon-like in my personal, like my personality. So things like when Spock says to his betrothed, "You are disappointed," and she says, "I am realistic." I was like, I can relate to that.
I literally wrote in my notes, Deneé is going to relate to this.
I fucking love that. Because amazing. I am super forward. Like it takes a level of confidence to spend time with me because I just say what's on my mind. And I think we did this in Picard episode 2 when it was like the what Elnor's like his culture and how it's like absolute candor. I really love that. So I'm not surprised that the Vulcans are just like super cool to watch for me. So
I love the way that they have arguments because it is state your point, move on to the next point.
Yeah.
There is no circular going backwards and forwards. It's, we've covered that, move on.
Yeah.
You may not always agree, but you're not going to keep revisiting it. And then like she is eventually just like, so at some point we're going to have to agree if we're just not compatible. And there's no like huge emotion behind it. It's
because
just,
there's no
I guess we're going to have to agree that.
Because that's right? Like they don't have emotion. Is that right?
No, they do. They absolutely have emotion. They just choose to suppress them really deeply. Because emotions get in the way of making rational decisions.
Yeah, I'm a fucking Vulcan!
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Oh, I finally
There's a lot to be said for being a Vulcan.
I have arrived. I know my species. Holy
shit.
Get
this lady some ears.
Now, I guess I probably am I'm an expressive Vulcan. I don't know if that works. But anyhow.
Aaron's like, if you could see Aaron's face right now, he's just like, I've known this for the last 10 years.
I just have thoughts on Deneé being a Vulcan. But
go on.
No. We'll continue on.
No, go on. I want to know.
I think the fact that I'm afraid to state my thoughts probably means Deneé is not a Vulcan.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Wait, Mike, Klingon? What? Holy shit.
Probably a Romulan. Because Romulans, yeah.
Oh no. Everyone is like, oh my God, is Deneé's alignment actually like chaotic evil? Like what's happening right now?
Yes, it may well be.
I'm not. Maybe I am. Oh God, I don't know.
Oh, that's amazing.
I also loved that when they realized like they were going into hijinks territory and how scared they were of that.
I love the Vulcan saying hijinks. Like, I do not approve of hijinks.
Yeah. Hijinks is the legal course of action.
The most logical course of action,
Yeah, logical.
It's so great.
I that was really enjoyable. And I loved how they acted that scene too when they went to the body swap because the actors changed some of how they were standing. Like she, as Spock, put her hands behind her back and just like Spock does. And he was also getting like his hands more in the front, which if you were paying attention, so there's these little subtleties which led to my favorite moment that I laughed so hard I was afraid I actually ruined some of Ian's viewing experience because we're not watching it at the same time.
I saw you laugh, but I just made a note of what was Deneé laughing at.
Oh my God. It was the moment when, I think it was Spock, okay, it was her speaking through Spock's body, says, now that you know that our bodies have swapped, when she's talking to Pike, Now that you know, you can very clearly tell the differences in our mannerisms. I lost it.
And
Pike's response is so good.
Yeah. Sure.
And just, it was like, I mean, we would say
he said
deadpan.
totally, didn't he? He was like, yeah, totally.
Well, now that you know, you can very clearly tell. And the funny thing is, I just noted that they have these different mannerisms, but they're super subtle, like with the just staying different. But
They
it
are
was
still very Vulcan.
so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I laughed so hard.
Man, Pike sells so much for me. Anson Mount is such a gift. He is just the glue that holds this show together, and he barely has to be there to do so. So great.
I know I'm like all about Vulcan stuff, so I'm gonna kind of move away from the Vulcans and just say.
It was that kind of episode.
We talked. The golden ship was really, really interesting, but such a cool shot to have both of those crew members on the Enterprise ship standing in space. Whether that's something that can actually happen or not, I have no idea.
Of course it can.
Okay, it can. Force field, yeah, of course. I mean, that's definitely not a sin that I wrote down or anything, because I know so much about
force fields and a pocket of air. It's
pocket of air.
It's
force
not the
fields,
dumbest
gravity,
thing in this episode.
Gravity, gravity boots, something.
Magnets. How do they work?
Magnets,
right. But it does give you the opportunity for these gorgeous shots.
Right at the same exact time. Anyway, that shot of the ship, going overhead was so beautiful. We'd already seen the ship in the distance, as Pike looks over and they're like, oh, hey, they're they're flying our flag. So I thought that was it. I thought that was the money shot of this cool ship. But then they do this really sweet, ship.
Oh no, they got their money's worth out of that for sure.
Yeah. So
I have no idea what happened in the final negotiation, because all I was looking at was the Enterprise docked. I was like, I'm up here, guys. Like, look at my face. And I'm like, no. I'm staring at the Enterprise.
In the background?
In the background. I was like, yeah, look at that ship. Wait, is Pike talking?
The end scene, that was a really cool scene. I really enjoyed that. But
it's a great wrap up. Nice, unique way of doing it.
I actually wrote down, Ian, like, did you like the ending? I know Aaron said he did, but now you said you weren't even listening, so never mind.
No, I loved it. Like, that was my favorite part of the episode, I think, was the negotiations. I wanted more of the boring negotiations because I'm interested in the politics. Like, I'm way more interested in that than I am the relationships and stuff. I know that stuff will come with time.
I do have some questions for you before we move on, if you want.
Hit it.
Okay. You had mentioned before that you were interested to see how they were going to approach like Klingon and Romulan stuff. And in this episode, they kind of touch on that for the first time, right? They mentioned that there's...
Yes.
Did you enjoy how they were bringing up the history of that in a new way? Or did you feel like it wasn't done well? Or how'd you feel?
So the Klingon War is referring to the war that happens in Discovery a few years earlier. So that's kind of stuff that we've seen, and I'm glad that it's not just being ignored and that there's still stuff to be dealing with there. And the direction that Discovery was taking the Klingons was by season 3 was to make them season 2 was make them a bit more traditional, like the Klingons we're used to, because there was a big uproar about the Klingons being redesigned and not looking like the proper Klingons, and they kind of hinted towards that being more of a sect rather than the Klingons that we know. So I mean, I really hope that we see the Klingons and see what they do with the Romulans. I am curious about, because Kirk's Enterprise is definitely aware of the Romulans, but they don't know what they look like, because it's a shock that they look like Spock. So I'm interested if they're going to... That only comes up in one episode. So I'm sure they've done their homework and they'll remember that. But the Romulans really shouldn't play into it too much. Like, we definitely shouldn't see any on screen unless we have a mind wipe kind of situation. But I loved it. It just needs to be sprinkled in. That's it. Concentrate on the Gorn for this season.
Yeah.
That'll do me.
Can you explain the rehabilitation stuff that T'Pring was doing? Okay. I was confused about that. Aaron, did you understand that?
No.
I understand it, but it's not part of, it's not something that I've heard of.
Oh, okay.
So I think the idea is that, like with all cultures, like, you're not going to have 100% of Vulcans being devoted to logic. There are some that go off and decide, hey, there's a better way to do this. And you can even have criminal Vulcans. And I think the idea is that, slightly arrogantly, everybody can be saved and everybody can be brought back to logic. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Rehabilitation through,
so she's like,
hey, logic is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crime is illogical.
I kind of didn't understand that part, so I didn't know if there was more to that.
It's an offshoot of Vulcans, and Vulcans don't like offshoots. They like consistency.
I think I know the answer to this next question based on both of your reaction to the soul meld being new. But my question is, when they're put back into their bodies through medical means, there's a mention of like this paste that he's using and how like someday in the future it's going to be used again. Is that because it is used again in the future? Like, is that part of
Nope.
Yeah, he says, M'Benga says something like, this will be Starfleet standard within the next few years, I guarantee it, or something like that.
I have no idea. Unless it's something in the original series that gets mentioned again, I don't know. Because the only other time I can remember this happening, the original series-wise, is in The Search for Spock. And Spock's brain ends up in, or Spock's consciousness ends up inside McCoy, and they have to put it back into Spock's body, and they have to do that ritual on Vulcan. We're into ReSInstance now. They have to do that ritual on Vulcan. Like, they can't do it on the Enterprise, they can't do it on Earth. There is one mountain in Vulcan where they can do it. There is one ritual, and it has to be done by the Queen Vulcan. So this seemed a little bit like, meh, Contras are fine.
Okay.
We just drag and drop them wherever we need them to go.
Okay. That's kind of a bummer, because I thought that it was a really deep, like, wink and nod to something super.
I mean, it could be a wink and nod that technology could have been used on Spock in the future, but because the Federation or Starfleet didn't make it common practice, that could be the nod that M'Benga is saying, yeah, this is going to be common, and then it ends up not being common practice, which is why Spock has to go to Vulcan to do it in the future.
Is it possible that it's a precursor to the neural stimulator?
Yeah, but yes, possibly, but that's like a mechanical thing. That's not a paste, and all that does is it's like a defibrillator, but for your brain,
right?
Essentially, it sends a charge.
I mean, that's kind of what
your brain neurons.
I just wonder if that's the implication. Because that line stood out to me too. Like I'm like, that absolutely means something. I wonder if if it's supposed to be like the really early stages of the neural stimulator. I don't know. It
absolutely could be. I hope it's the other thing, because it kind of acknowledges why Spock had to go to Vulcan to get reunited with his own body.
Right.
With that, we will head over to engineering for ReSInstance is Futile.
ReSInstance is futile. Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. I did my big one, which was the whole Catras being so easy to switch between bodies when the search for Spock makes it such a bugger. Deneé.
I'll bounce off of that. I feel like, although I didn't follow it exactly, so I might be misunderstanding, I feel like if the show did something really unnecessary, it didn't really go deep enough on Spock and his lady T'Pring solving their emotional problems. So the idea, I think, was that the soul swap failed or didn't work as it usually does because of emotions. Because Spock is more susceptible to, I don't know, exploring them or whatever. Now that I know that Vulcans actually have them, I just thought that they didn't have them at all. So that's interesting. I'm gonna have to think about that a lot. But the end, it's like, oh, they don't know how to get back into their own bodies, and so we're going to go the medical route and do this really odd, experimental scream fest. And maybe that was just letting out a lot of confusing emotions, and in doing that, they were able to link back together, but they didn't really go into that, I think, enough to show that they had an understanding of how emotion played a part in their disconnection. And maybe that's because the couple themselves have a lot to figure out, and that's part of why they don't work eventually. But that emotional block that maybe prevented them from going back into their bodies, it just feels like they went the science route instead of letting them solve their own problem.
Oh, heaven forbid we go the science route. I kind of thought that was the point, is that the emotional stuff they haven't been able to figure out yet, and it's going to take some time, and they've identified the problem, but they haven't got to the bottom of it yet.
Yeah, maybe the sin there is just, science instead of love thing.
Aaron.
It's clear the body swap happened because of overcandling, for one. Let's just be clear.
Much candling.
Why that happened. No, before I get into it, I did want to let you know, my wife and I have a very small kitchen, and we're looking at reflooring our kitchen, and we're going to name the new kitchen ReSInstance because it's futile. Okay.
Oh, because you don't use it?
No, because you don't need a lot of tiles. Just
Oh, Futiles.
All right, so we are going to talk first about those absolutely terrible. Like, maybe there's something else. Somebody tell me there's something else. Those could not have been glasses. Those could not have been drinking glasses. What are those things? Like, there's no way to drink out of them without cutting your lips to shreds.
Like, shreds.
Like, what are those things?
I totally missed
liquid
this.
all over the place.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's so it's the scene where
it's right at the beginning. He's straightening the room up. Yeah, he's straightening the room
for her, and she like goes over and pushes them back. But the rim
in the middle of the table, right?
The rim of the glass, it's not a consistent rim where you can drink.
Terrible.
It's like,
how would you ever use that?
It's these literally shards of glass that are all like jagged and angular. We literally rip into your gums. It's one of the biggest sins for me too. It's
body swapping. We're absolutely fine, but slightly ornate glasses.
No.
Fuck that shit.
How dare you call them slightly ornate?
No. My sin on that was these are the most illogical glasses that a Vulcan would ever have. There's no way that they would pick those up.
I just kept racking my brain for what it really was. I was like, those can't be drinking glasses. They cannot be. And they can't be pouring glasses. I have no idea.
We'll never know because they would never ask the actors to drink out of them because it would have been
too dangerous.
A huge problem. Ian, you have to go back and look at them. It is so bad.
I will. Deneé, give me your next one while I go and have a look.
Okay.
Man, sorry. So I just clicked going back, and the first thing I clicked on was to bring in the outfit, and I was like, my boner immediately did that for me somehow. And then the next place that I clicked was literally on the glasses. That's so strange.
No, but watch him, like, actually watch it in motion because he kind of shifts them around with a light, picks it up, and you can see the ridge. There's literally nowhere to drink out of it because the liquid would fall out of the lower parts and you couldn't drink out of the lower parts.
Oh, there's nowhere to like get purchase at your mouth to make a seal around the edge.
Thank you.
Oh, that's so strange. And then look how huge the jug of water in between them is that you would have to pour into.
It's so strange.
That's illogical.
There must be a force field. It must be like a design and it has like a force field around the glasses or something.
Yes.
Yeah, they're for show.
Wow. It's wild.
For sure.
That's amazing. Okay.
The one that I was going to say while you were looking for the glasses is when they're having Spock comes back to the room after missing dinner and they have a little argument back and forth or a conversation rather about their situation. She leaves on this set and says, "If you will excuse me." And I don't think that a Vulcan would say that because it sounds like she's asking for permission and she should have just said, "Excuse me," and left, right? Like to me, when you say, "If you will excuse me," that's an invitation for someone to give you their opinion. And I just don't feel like a Vulcan would walk away after saying that. I don't know.
The one that bothered me more than that along the same line is at the end where she does the joke. She does a joke. Like she's like, having met him, that is logical. And my thought was just, is it? And also, are you telling a joke right now? Like
Vulcans can tell jokes.
No, I know they can, but that is. But I'm just like, is it logical to punch somebody in the face when you disagree with them?
No, violence is never logical. No,
I don't know. It was like,
so it must be.
It wasn't just that it was a joke. It was a joke that was illogical. It was an illogical joke. Like so.
Divorce her right now. Call it off.
They're not even married yet.
She's not good for you. This was, I don't know, this is something I've often wondered in Star Trek. How many species kiss? Like, if you have lips on your faces, like, is it just a natural thing to push them together and it feels good? So, especially for Vulcans who aren't into that kind of expression typically.
Do you know the evolutionary idea of kissing?
I don't.
So the evolutionary idea of kissing is to transfer antibodies. The idea that when we are sick as a community, we're better off to give each other not only our diseases, but the cures to our diseases. And so transferring body fluids amongst those you love was a way to protect them.
We should be kissing everybody.
Thank you.
So instead of calling it kissing, we should call it orifice alignment.
Sure. Yeah, it should be orificing or something.
Yes.
Wait, no, orificing is something else. I guess if it's purely evolutionary, then I guess that makes
that's
more
what I've
sense.
heard is the idea, the evolutionary idea behind kissing.
Yeah. That makes sense. It seems pretty consistent throughout species in Star Trek that necking is quite common.
It's fairly consistent through races on this planet too. Even before.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah,
it's a species thing, not a culture thing.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Let's see. Let's go with. I am frustrated by how bad of a liar every single person on television is. And the thing that brought it out to me in this case was when she was like, have you ever heard that nickname? And the guy doing the transport was like, no. What is this thing you say? And it's just like, can anybody just be a normal liar? Can he just be like, nope?
Then we wouldn't know that they're in on it, Aaron.
Exactly. And so, yes, I would very much take the opportunity to sin how performative the lying is on television.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's a big reason why that scene didn't work for me. Like, everybody on the transporter pad, like, giving away the nickname in front of the person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, there's only one way that I've seen that delivered well, and it's actually on TNG. And there's an awkward lieutenant called Barclay. And Geordi they give him the nickname of Broccoli, and Geordi accidentally calls him Lieutenant Broccoli in front of Picard when he's not present. And then in the very next sentence, Barclay turns up, and Picard does it just after telling Geordi to not call him Broccoli. He says, "Good work, Mr. Broccoli." And it's like, it makes sense in that moment because like Picard
it's top
is
of the mind.
horrified,
right?
And it was just on the tip of his tongue because he was telling them off about it. And it's such a beautiful. But here it just felt a bit jarring.
There's also the other version, which is they're standing right behind me, aren't they? That's the other version, right? Like which actually makes a little more logical sense, but it's still tropey,
Yeah,
so,
100%.
Yeah.
And just the Mbenga hat stuff. We can be funny.
We get it.
We can be funny. Like, you could have made an actual joke there, but instead you just said he had a funny hat.
I think it's important, to show that they all have some kind of rapport together. God! Sorry, it can still be a sentence.
Deneé, next.
I would sin the moment when they are around the negotiation table. At the very beginning, they're kind of debriefing. It's before the aliens come up to the door and the negotiations actually begin. And Pike says something along the lines of like, well, how are the negotiations going anyway? And then the ambassador, whoever, he turns and he just like cues the perfect clip moment from the perfect argument moment. Like he just happens to have that.
Slideshow guy is on point. He is ready.
Yep. So it's just one of those where whoever is manning that is doing a great job.
Whoever's personing the PowerPoint presentation is on point with the conversation that's in the room. Yeah,
exactly.
I totally agree.
The people who clip things on Twitch and YouTube, they evolve into the person that has that job for Starfleet.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, much needed. I still think it's a bit of nonsense that these crucial negotiations that will change the balance of the Federation, you're just going to let T'Pring do it. And there is still, like, not even give her a little earpiece to coach her. It's just, you're in Spock's body, it'll be fine.
You could at least you could at least do a little, Sir.
She's telepathic. They are. Oh no, they're telepathic.
Who are?
Spock could have been in the damn room feeding her the answers.
What do you mean they're telepathic?
They can speak to each other in their thoughts, in their head.
No, I mean, I understand what telepathic
right, sorry.
means, Ian. I know what that word means.
It's a big building where sick people are. No, I know what a hospital is.
Wait, this is so cool. Vulcans are so cool. I want to be one.
Yeah, they're telepathic.
Okay,
absolutely.
Work on
but I think they can only do it with each other, if I'm right. It's not a multi-special thing.
Will people still want to listen to me on a podcast if I sound like I have no emotion anymore?
Very monotone, perhaps. There's only one way to find out.
Nope, not at all.
This is going to be hard.
No, that's it. Can you experiment on the morning DNA first and then do it on this show if it's successful?
Yeah, there's definitely like a Sarek no de Bergerac like joke in there somewhere. Yeah.
There absolutely is. That's amazing.
Speaking of the negotiation, whenever there's a negotiation in a movie or a television show, I have two immediate outtake clips that pop into my brain that I use one of the two every single time. Number one, and I think this is probably what I would go with just because it's a long table and it's a long table in this movie. I would dub over the negotiation scene from 50 Shades of Grey over the Star Trek negotiation.
Nice.
The other one is where Homer's like
fisting.
The other one is where Homer's like, Lisa needs braces, dental plan. Lisa needs braces, dental plan. That's the other one I go with sometimes. So yeah,
My go-to is always Ewan McGregor from episode 1. Negotiations were short.
Yes.
Whenever they're leaving the room,
yeah.
it's all wrapped up quite quickly.
I'll bounce off of that one with an outtake that I thought of during this, which was when Spock and Topanga from that other show.
Do you mean T'Pring or Mbenga? Because you could have said Topanga. Could have been either of them.
They're starting some kind of a ritual, and they reach over and they grab a bell. And they just ding it.
Yes.
And
ding,
there's
ding,
there's an outtake waiting to happen there from something in a movie where housekeeping shows up, or like when you're summoning something, there's got to be something.
Man.
And I would really rack my brain for that one.
The guy from Pink Panther just jumps out of a cupboard, and the one that's always attacking him.
Or John Turturro and Mr. Deeds when he just pops out of nowhere.
Yes.
That'd be funny.
What is that? You rang, sir?
Sneaky, sir.
Yeah, Lurch just turns up. You rang.
Exactly.
I don't have anything else. I've pretty much covered all of my issues with the episode. Dead inside. I don't like relationships. So yes.
I think it may be argumentative, but I watched it really carefully because the alien race leaves after Pike's epic speech at the end, and Pike is all they're gonna. I figured out. I cracked the code of the alien, and we'll see what they do. I have a hunch, I think is what he says. And then in the background, the flag starts flying on the ship immediately. So I wrote down, wow, they got to that ship really fast. They just walked out the door. And I was thinking, oh, well, they probably like radioed ahead or whatever. Hey, go ahead and fly the flag. We'll be there in a minute. And so I was specifically watching the ship, and it appeared to me that it had begun to move away from the dock. So maybe they beamed, but I thought also beaming doesn't really happen in certain ways. I don't know. So beaming is
you still got to get to the transporter room. They must have,
so fast.
If they were going to radio ahead as soon as they got out the door,
right?
You'd think they would do it in the room,
right,
so that they could enjoy the moment with Pike.
They must have been so excited.
Be a culture thing.
They walked out and they're like,
immediately release the flag.
Release the flag. We'll be there in a second, and then. Yeah. So that's why I was thinking it was argumentative, but I was noting how quickly that happened. So.
It was very poetic the way it happened. I just had a really, really quick one on Chapel's non-boyfriend. That he's still there when she's talking to Spock. Like, he's still at the bar.
Well, yeah, because he wants that. He was really excited about that meal.
He wants that food.
Yeah.
I was like, you wouldn't be worried that she's like gone off and is clearly having a discussion with a very attractive Vulcan, and you're like, no, I'm going to eat my quesadillas.
Yeah, but see, the impression I get is that was their that's the thing, is all of a sudden he was kind of wanting to take it to the next level, and she was like, nope, that's not what I'm about right now.
Bye.
That was kind of her like whole arc for this episode was basically Ortega saying, maybe try honesty next time from the beginning. So, yeah. Yep.
No, good point. Anything else, my crew?
I did want to mention it's a little tropey to do the chess in the park thing, even if you made it 3D chess. It's just, it always cracks me up.
Yeah.
Chess in the park is always.
Yeah.
I always think of the Pixar short of
Jerry's
game.
Yeah,
Jerry's
totally.
game. So good.
There's an outtake there somewhere.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And then I had a question about what the hull of a starship is made of, that people could sign it and that it would stay there while traveling through space. And the only reason I bring this up, very argumentative, I'm sure, but the only reason I bring it up is I once on my Patreon had a level called The Roofing Crew, because they kept a roof over my head, and I would sign I would sign a shingle with their name on it at that level of my house, of my actual
awesome.
house. Is still available. Nobody's become a member of the Roofing Crew for about a year, but this
is why he's living in the streets.
That's right.
Yes,
right.
He doesn't have a roof.
But every time I would go up there, all the names would be gone. And that's just rain on Earth. Like, that is not traveling through space. Like,
I think it's less about the material and more about the writing implement. So
right,
they had
that's
a very special engraver thing that I think.
And it looks very much like chalk, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, some sort of engraver Sharpie.
Also, there is a difference between shields and deflector shields. So shields is what goes around the ship to protect it from like phasers and stuff.
Ian just put his complete school marm persona on for this conversation. Teach us, Ian. Teach us.
And the deflector shields actually emanate from the Enterprise's disk and push everything out of the way while it's traveling through warp. So it probably wouldn't have much touching the
actual space
at all. It's pushing everything away
Thank
around
you,
it. Yes.
you, Ian.
And it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite interviews on TOS. It was one of the original series writers that wrote something, and Gene Roddenberry said, "I think you mean deflector shields, not shields."
Nice.
And the writer was like, "What's the difference?" And he just like threw the script away. He was like, "You idiot!" Like, and then just went into so much detail about like the engineering of the Enterprise. I was like,
that's awesome.
Oh, the man just thought of this stuff because it's important. I love it. Love it. Deneé, final things.
Nope, I don't have anything else for the ReSINstance. I only have one prediction that I had during the show.
Okay, well, I mean, this was going to be the first week where I skipped predictions, but I guess I won't. So let's head off to the captain's ready room.
Listen, I was going to stop us on the way to the ready room because it's not that interesting, but here we are.
Nope.
All right, Deneé, we've walked all the way over to the ready room.
Somebody shout engineering and then someone else shout ready room.
Okay, ready?
Engineering.
Ready room.
Ready room. Welcome to the captain's ready room, where we hear our predictions for the rest of the season and bask in Deneé's time crystal like glory.
Listen,
for anything she may have predicted.
I was trying to stop us on the way over here because it was a prediction that didn't come true.
Good. Back to engineering.
I was thinking that this was going to end with the ensigns that got in trouble finding the superior officers doing the same
catching
game.
them as they come back in the airlock, just like,
I was ready for it. I was like, okay, this is how this is going to go, because they obviously, deserve to get caught. They made somebody do the work for doing the same thing that they did. So I was really kind of disappointed, I guess, that didn't happen. But my Q-like glory is fading. I, too, like Q, I'm getting old and dying.
Well, I'm glad that we both ended on the same feelings of not liking this episode, Deneé. That's what I'm going to take away from your closing remarks. There are not a lot more predictions. I think the Gorn will come back. Now that the Romulans and Klingons have been mentioned, I think that'll be it. I don't think we'll get much more of them unless it's the finale. And I think that's about
We're
it.
getting the dead daughter. Something's happening with the dead daughter this season.
It'll
Something's
happen.
happening.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was doing some research. It was mentioned this episode. He's looking for some research with somebody.
He had the mind crystals. Maybe he's going to try to swap her mind into somebody else's body.
Heck, why not? It won't be the most ridiculous thing happen this week. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. It's bingo from me.
It's the appointed time for me.
And the deal was very big for me.
That was so great, wasn't it? The way he delivered it. No, the deal was very big. Amazing. And live long in Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm all right. I'm okay.
Good. Okay, not great.
I can only hear out of my right ear currently.
Oh, no. You should put your other headphone in.
Oh, that's smart.
There's usually two
that's
of
really,
them.
really smart. I'm trying to figure out if I damaged my ear. I was trying to clean some earwax out, so we'll just see if it comes back.
Hold on a second.
Oh.
When did this happen?
So I can hear out of my left ear.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just really muted compared to if I put it in my right ear.
Yeah, you may have perforated your eardrum.
Wait,
it's a lot louder.
When did you do that?
Huh? Just today.
Q-tips should be banned.
It wasn't a Q-tip.
Hold on a second.
What
Hold on
did
a second.
you
No,
use?
Ian, prepare yourself.
Uh-huh.
Did you use a paperclip?
I should have. I wouldn't be experiencing this if I had used a paperclip like I usually do.
He usually uses a
You usually
paperclip, and
use
he
a
thinks that's the
paperclip.
better option.
God damn.
So I got a new thing that is specifically designed for this, where it has like a camera.
Did you miss the instruction manual?
No.
When you feel resistance, you stop.
Yeah. No, I definitely did that. I definitely stopped. I think I just compacted the wax in there. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. I don't think I perforated an eardrum. I just feel like I pushed it back to where it is completely closed off now. So I have massive amounts of earwax. It's something I've always had. And so, yeah.
There was a day when we were at the recording studio, Ian, and a ball of wax fell out of his ear. And when it hit the counter, it made a noise and it shook the countertop. And it was like that scene in like Jurassic Park when the water kind of like like has the little ripples that go across it because the T-Rex is coming. It was like that.
It was like Jurassic Park at first, and then it was Indiana Jones because Deneé had to like run away as the earwax boulder chased her down the hallway. Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was crazy. There are some times when I'm willing to look at things that come out of the body, right?
Never.
Never for you, Ian. There are some circumstances where you probably should examine.
Ian like gets up from the toilet and closes the lid real quick. He's just like, I don't want to see anything in there, man.
Yeah.
No, you need to look.
No.
That's how you know if there's something real wrong happening.
That's how you know if you're healthy.
No, but then you feel it. Like, if I say ouch, then...
Oh, okay. I thought you meant with your hands.
Indicator.
Yeah, I thought you meant afterwards. You close your eyes and you reach your hands in there and make sure it's got the right texture.
Get right in there.
That's better.
The best and only thing is olive oil or some kind of lubricant. Like, there should not be a thing that is going inside our ears because it is just as likely to compact it.
If we were doing outtakes for our own show... I think the outtake for this moment when he said, I use the tool, that goes in deep there. I would play like the Mines of Moria moment where it's like they dug too deep and they released the Balrog,
That's not where my brain went, but sure, Mines of Moria, yes. Let's go with
went
that.
Somewhere else as well.
Use the tool and went too deep. Yeah.
From Lord of the Rings,
Hey, this was before you said Lord of the Rings.
I see.
Our brains act fast, Deneé. Our pervy brains act fast.
Also, Lord of the Rings kind of works.
Could also work, to be fair.
So what I'm loving is that the outtakes for Captain's Pod sound like behind the scenes outtakes. But
Sorry, it's just what I do.
But on Behind the Sins last week, the outtakes were almost entirely Captain's Pod style outtakes. It's like we switched.
I just drag and drop them.
Sapiosexual is somebody who's attracted to intelligence.
Yes, that's it.
So, gets turned on by really smart people.
Heck yeah.
Whereas dummians, I don't...
Well, for a lot of people, there are visual cues and, aesthetic reasons that they get turned on. But for some...
What you were going for, Deneé, was a dummy sexual. But that's not stupid people. That's something else.
That's the dolls, isn't it?
That's the dolls. That's
Man,
the one.
I think
What's
I appreciate the
dummy sexual is being attracted to dolls.
Yeah, I got that wrong.
Dummy?
That's what it's called? That's a literal thing?
No, it's not. I thought you'd be the first to get this.
No.
How are you missing this joke?
Oh my god.
No. I get the reference. I just
he can't hear out of his ear, and so
that's
humor is affected.
It's my pun ear.
We found
my
pun
ear.
God.
Oh no! You need to get it back. You have no purpose. Are you ready for a trickle triction?
Yo, no. Ian,
no, you don't want to do it?
Well, I'm just bad at these.
Okay, I found a way to make it more fun. And no, you're about 50-50 on your hit rate.
I'm not 50-50. I get
you
them wrong
absolutely
more.
Are. No, because you got the first wave right. Loads of them. It's the last few weeks that you've done poorly. You
It's
can
fake.
ask 2 follow-up questions.
No, it's fake.
You can ask 2
You don't
follow-up...
even have to tell me it's fake.
Okay, so on to the show.
Well, are you going to tell me if I was right or not?
No.
Oh, that's no fun.
So, you can ask 2 follow-up questions to help you out to see if I'm fibbing or not. Okay?
Okay.
You ready? Okay. We are back
Podsper over here, guys. Just let me know when you're done and I'll come back to the show.
We are back on the Enterprise.
Yeah, let's just go to Aaron.
Okay.
It's Aaron's turn.
It's harder with Aaron because I don't know what he hasn't watched.
All of it. I mean, Deneé has probably watched more Trek than I have.
Okay. I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to let you play.
That is a gamble. That's always a gamble.
We are back on the Enterprise. Picard's Enterprise, to clarify, because there have been so many. Yes. Captain Picard, Data, and Beverly are on an archaeological survey, and Captain Picard is super, super happy to be able to go off and do some digging, and this is almost like a holiday for him, a vacation. Meanwhile, back on the Enterprise, Geordi has requested some time in the big chair on the bridge, looking after one of the night shifts because of the stresses of engineering, and he wants to have a little change of pace for an evening. In the meantime, Riker is on the holodeck, falls over and injures his back, and it's one of these where he spends the entire episode in sickbay. Meanwhile, the second that Geordi takes the big chair, a mysterious asteroid seems to jump out of warp. And it's throwing out all kinds of like subspace signals and crazy radiation that prevents the Enterprise from basically moving at all. The only thing Geordi can do is separate the ship into the saucer section and the main drive section. So Geordi does that, and it turns out that this asteroid has got a Ferengi ship inside it, and it's disguised itself inside an asteroid so that it can steal part of the Enterprise. So it runs away with this bit of the Enterprise, and the rest of the episode is basically Geordi trying to get the ship back and then having to relay each ridiculous thing back to Riker, who's in sickbay, can't do anything because he's all fucked up. By the end of the episode, they managed to get the ship back because another group of Ferengi has joined in and has started arguing over who should have the ship. And Geordi uses that as a distraction to get the ship back together, and then all is well with the world. And the last little quick 15 seconds is Picard, Data and Beverly coming back and saying, what's happened? Is everything okay? And Geordi's like, nothing to report, Captain. And then it does the little whistle thing at the end.
So do I get to ask follow-up questions?
You both get a follow-up question each.
First of all, I already know this is fiction, but I will ask some follow-up questions anyway.
Okay.
So my first is does the ships, when you say into different sections, do you mean literally into different sections? Like literally
you've got the saucer section,
like it's a model, disc. And somebody goes
separates.
up and lefty loosey, righty tighties the top part, and that comes off.
It's automated, so it separates. So the saucer, literally like a flying saucer, separates from the rest of the ship, and it's a built-in feature.
That's my question. Deneé, what's your question?
Deneé.
My question is, how many times in a row are you going to do real ones until it comes fake?
Oh, nice.
Because it's been real 3 times in a row. I'm guessing fake just based on algorithm alone.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to answer that question.
I want you to know that was a really good episode you came up with. Like, if that were a real episode, that would be so much fun.
It was very detailed.
How much fun would it be? Yes.
But that is fiction.
It's definitely fiction. As I was writing the synopsis, I was like, holy shit, this would be one of my favorite episodes ever. I put in way more detail that I ended up leaving out, but the ship can do that. It actually does. It actually does separate. It does do that in a couple of episodes. And yeah, it's just one of those whimsical episodes where Geordi has a lot of fun, but just fucks everything up. It's like, yeah, I'm really sorry, Captain, but I lost half the ship. I was like, how did you lose that? To the Ferengi. Well, go and get it. And Riker is just stuck in sick bay, just powerless to do anything. I would watch the heck out of that episode.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I loved how you know Star Trek so well that you sprinkle in these things that just make perfect sense on a Star Trek episode. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Here's how I knew it was fiction. You ready for this?
Okay.
Too much looking to your right and reading what you had fictionalized, because you know these episodes so well. When they're real, you just face camera and go.
Damn it. Because I did the same thing last week where it was a real episode, but I wrote down what I was going to say and then read from it. But I think even then I still went on to autopilot and I didn't read. I didn't read my script.
You can watch your brain fire when it's real. You get this extra level of joy in your eyes. Ethan comes in the other night and goes, I have the most amazing fart noise. Because, when you have boys, this is just a conversation that happens.
Yeah.
And we go, okay. And he goes,
that's pretty good.
He just thought that was the funniest thing. He's like,
it's pretty
everybody
funny.
else is just like, and I'm like,
he's not wrong. That was funny as hell.
He's not wrong.
Captain's Pod, stardate.
That's a new stardate system.
That's
great. An amazing
it's
stardate system. Can you imagine some sort of gibberish stardate system? That would be amazing. And it's stardate. Bleep.